I have been seeing a lot of comments on a lot of our videos that have been asking me what I think about Xavi staying at Barcelona, because a lot of you guys know that I was Xavi in the whole time, even in like the winter time when a lot of people wanted to sack Xavi. I thought Xavi should stay because I think there's more to this picture that people are really like thinking or how people are looking at things. So let me kind of explain what I'm saying. Xavi's so important to Barcelona right now because you could sack him, right? Or he could leave. And you could bring in a Rafael Marquez, I think is the manager they were looking at, the candidate that they were thinking about putting there. But there's no track record there. You don't know if he's going to come in and be successful right away. The next thing, you could hire like a Mourinho or something like that, right? But the problem is you bring in a big name like that and you don't got a ton of money to bring in a bunch of players that maybe Mourinho or Klopp or somebody would want. So you have this problem on your hands that Barca, everyone knows, is in some type of financial issue. We don't know how deep the issue is, but we know there's an issue there. There's two of their, bigger players, João Cancelo, João Felix, names, by the way, just bigger names. They don't even belong to them. I know they want to keep them around, or at least João Cancelo. But what I'm trying to say here is Xavi is so important to Barca right now because he's the one developing Kubasi, if I said that properly. He's the one giving and developing Yamal. Like, he's the one giving these players time. He's the one that's like telling Kubasi, you could start against the Real Madrid. You can start in a Champions League quarterfinals. You can start. He's giving these type of players the confidence that are needed. And I think this, for me, in my opinion, is the biggest thing for Barcelona, because Barcelona's future is a future where they have to get their financial situation correct. They got to get it right. They got to go out there and figure out how to get their money back and how to get more money and how to bring in more stars. But it's always been Barca's ways to look at the academy. And when you have Xavi, who is always been so connected to this club, even when he left, he wants the best for the club. And when he's giving opportunities like this to a player like Yamal, a player like Kubasi, all these young kids, you're giving a future. You're giving a massive future. The reason you're giving a future is for a few reasons. Let's say, which is not going to happen, but they, are like, all right, you know what? We got center backs. Let's get rid of Kubasi. Never going to happen, but if it did, that's a lot of money. Or Yamal, that's a lot of money. You could get a lot of money off of these young players. I could see a city or something buying Kubasi for a ton of money. Not saying Barca will do that. That's not the type of club they are. But what I'm telling you is, he's giving them that option. The biggest problem that I think people have with Xavi is that, in my opinion, Barcelona is the hardest job in all of football. It's the hardest. And I know people will L me for this, but it's just what I believe. I believe Barcelona is the hardest job in football because at Barcelona, it's not about just winning. You have to win a certain way. And if you don't win a certain way, the fans are not as happy with you. Obviously, yes, they just want to win, but they're going to critique the play style because everyone has a certain play style for Barcelona, and that's what they want. See, when Real Madrid sits back against City for 90 minutes and they out-tactic them defensively and they get a goal on the counter, Madrid fans are like, that's our DNA. We did what we had to do. We got the dub. They don't really care because they know and they want just wins. Wins are wins. It doesn't matter. With Barca, it's about winning, but at the same time, it's a certain style of winning, a certain play of winning, a certain way you have to play the game. And that becomes very difficult for any manager who takes over. And if anyone knows that style, it's going to be Xavi who knows that style. And it's going to be Xavi who understands what the fans want, because it's not just a normal job in Europe. It's a job where you have to win, and you got to win a certain style. You have to play a certain way. And that's what makes that job so hard. The reason I like Xavi staying at Barcelona is not because Real Madrid, blah, blah, blah. Listen, he won a league last year, guys. But at the end of the day, they were set a red card away from getting by PSG and being in the semifinal of the Champions League. He put Kubasi playing. He put Yamal playing. You see the confidence he's getting out of a lot of the kids that are there. He's pulling players up. This is important for Barcelona's future. And that, for me, is why I think Xavi is so important and why he had to stay around. I think easily, you could have benched him and, sacked him and brought in Mourinho, for example. But is Mourinho going to start Kubasi? Is Mourinho going to start Yamal? Is Mourinho gonna be like, okay, I'm okay with this. Let's see how we can bring some players in on loan or this or that. Like, is he really gonna be okay with that? Is any manager gonna be okay with that? Xavi's a manager that is loves the club. You know that. We all know that. And I think he's trying to do what's best for the club. And I think that's super, 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 super important. He even said that he would walk away. That's being the best for the club, bro. That is right there in itself is him showing you like, hey, man, I care about this club. If I'm bad for it, I'll leave. If I'm not doing good, I'll leave. I'll walk away. That's someone who cares. That's someone who really, really cares about a club, right? Like you're not going to see like Benfica's manager this year didn't win the league and the fans are upset with him. You think he's just going to walk away from 20 million he's supposed to receive over the next 2-3 years? He ain't walking away. You sack him, yeah, because he's going to get paid, but he ain't going to walk away. Xavi was ready to walk away if it was going to make Barca better. And that's what I'm saying to you. Like, it's just one of those things where you really have to look at what you have, understand what you have, and allow the guy to kind of work, because Barca fans know it. I know it. We know it. Barca's not in the best place. It's not an easy job. And I don't think Xavi's done enough to be sacked. So I think it's a beautiful thing that Xavi's staying. I think it's very good for Yamal and for Kubasi. I think those players are going to grow extremely well under him. I think he's going to continue to give them a crazy amount of chances. And I think that's what's most important, having a manager that's not only winning, because you obviously won trophies, but a manager that's sending your club in the right direction. When Koeman was at Barcelona, I didn't see the club in the right direction. I didn't see the club going in a great direction. With Xavi, you can see the club going in a good direction. You can see the future of them. Remember that Xavi this season has barely had Gavi and Pedri at the same time. That's a big deal. It's a real big deal. And injuries happen for sure. But Barcelona is already a team that doesn't have the most depth because of financial situations. And then you lose Pedri, then you lose Gavi, then you barely even have Pedri for the semifinal, the quarterfinal of the Champions League. He came in at the end of the first game and then played the second game. You barely had him at a high match level. So it's one of those things where it's like you've lost so many players to injuries, and then in important games, they beat themselves. The red card for Araujo, and even when you look back at El Clasico, I actually think the ball was in. I think it was a goal. But if you look back at the most recent El Clasico, they played Real Madrid great. They played great. They didn't. There was nothing wrong in that game. They obviously needed the win to keep the league real close. But yeah, man. I mean, I think these things all happen, and I think that Xavi, I just think he has them going in the right direction. And you can see it. You can see it, bro. Almost in the semifinals for Barca. They haven't been there for a while in the Champions League. He was doing it. Little mistakes have hurt this team from winning trophies. And again, I think we need to all sit back. And I know Barca fans never want to say this, but you really got to admire what Ancelotti's doing at Real Madrid. And if you look at Real Madrid's starting 11, if you look at Real Madrid's depth, you know what I'm saying? The guys, they have Modric and Toni Kroos coming off the bench. Or they got Camavinga or Tchouameni coming off the bench. Like, what? Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. It's two different situations. And Barca and Xavi are supposed to compete with this team that has those type of players coming off the bench. The fact that he is competing with them is amazing, in my opinion, because everyone knows Barca's lineup and Barca's roster is good, but it ain't the Barca type of roster we're used to. It'll get there again, but it's definitely, I mean, if you look at Barca's roster and Madrid's roster, right now you would probably take Madrid's roster because of Vinicius Jr., because of Jude Bellingham, because Camavinga and Tchouameni are so young. They got Rudiger, David Alaba, and you guys have better center backs. I think Barca has better center backs. But when you look at it as a whole, I think that Barca is doing a fantastic job for what they have, and that's because Xavi's helping. So I don't know. That's my opinion, guys. I could be fully wrong. Again, I'm just an outsider looking in, but I think it's very, very important for a thing. I want to talk to you real quick just to kind of end it. At Benfica, we have a manager called Roger. He's a German manager. He came in last year and he won us the league easy. He cooked and he got us almost to the semifinals of the Champions League last year. This year, he came in second place. Sporting's going to win the league. Sporting's been just fantastic. They bought a striker that's named Yukaras. He's an amazing, amazing player. And Benfica's coming short in second. But we need to look at what he's done. He helped Antonio Silva become the center back that he is. Florentino Luis has been an amazing defensive mid under him. At times he benched him when he shouldn't. That's where Roger messed up. Gonçalo Ramos, he made us a lot of money there. Enzo, he made us a lot of money there. He's giving Benfica a very bright future. And although they're going to go trophyless this season, and that's what football's about, you also have to look at what the direction your club is going in and the direction the roster's going in. And when a manager is okay to use players from the B teams and from the juniors and bring them up and let them play, that's the type of manager I think you want. And so for me, I don't want Roger fired yet because I want to let him develop these kids that he's been playing, the kids he's been bringing in and making Benfica a lot of money. And with Barcelona, that's a thing that Xavi's doing. He's bringing in a lot of youth. He's bringing in a future. So that's why I think that Barcelona is in such a good spot under Xavi. Again, it's just my opinion. We have the same situation going on at Benfica right now, where a manager won the league the next year, not a good season, didn't really play good ball, benched players he shouldn't have benched. But at the same time, you can see the future we have because of the young players he's putting playing. So, Barca fans, getting down below, let me know what you think. That's kind of my opinion on Xavi. I like him personally. I think he's the man for the job. Love you guys. I'll catch another one in the next one. Thumbs it up, subscribe it. Love you guys. I'll catch you soon. Peace.